I wanted to read this. This is my first time reading this, and this was something that I just wrote recently. This is probably, I mean, every time I get up here, I share, something personal and from the heart, because that's, how I use my poetry. But this was probably one of the hardest poems I had to write, because it had to deal with like a friendship that's kind of, just, split apart, and it's kind of leaving you like, dang, how did it happen? So, this is kind of like, it's called Open Letter, and it's a letter to, a friend. So, this poem fought its way into existence. It initially requested the opportunity to present itself, and I was like, I don't think that's such a good idea. I mean, we should just let bygones be bygones, and let's just move on, because things simply are what they are. But not being satisfied with my answer, it removed earrings, tied hair back, and slathered on Vaseline, ready to go to war for the attention of my pen, pad, and keyboard. If and when you hear this poem, then you'll know that it was inspired by you, and the fact that to each other we have nothing to say after issuing mutual instructions to stay away and act like we no longer know each other. Dipped and palm rolled in hurt and anger. And admittedly, I felt the need to get the last word in, but even then, confusion sang her bitter song as I tried to figure out exactly what goes wrong to make a seemingly close friendship end over some sudden bullshit, even after efforts to avoid drama were preempted. And I still attempt to sort things out, even as indignance lingers like a bad taste in my mouth after assumptions that misunderstandings were born out of jealousy and spite. When in reality, I simply don't have enough time in my schedule to allow that type of negative energy to take flight, and it makes me wonder how well you actually even know me to think otherwise. So therein lies the $10,000 question. Why do you deserve this poem? See, part of me will never comprehend taking the route of inexplicably tossing blame into my court for something that was yours and I had no part of, knowledge, or concern about. And it makes me question even my perceived ability to read people and accurately catch their vibes, be it good or bad. And I wonder if perhaps I had things twisted as to how I defined you and where we really stood as friends. See, the conflict comes in it being hard to discount all the years that we've known each other. And things like never having told you how touched I was, for example, when you said that I was the only person you kept in touch with from back in the day and that you didn't want to mess that up. See, the reality is that whether you believe it or not, all I've ever been with you was honest. Even when it was hard for me to deliver, harder for you to receive, and even when I was upfront about previously not being as upfront as I probably should have been, but at the end of the day, you heard it from me and nobody else. And even amid the acrimony and my being pissed off, there was never any hate or ill wishing in your direction, just an overall sense of disappointment and pity at the way things turned out. But while we're on the subject of honesty, beneath my carefully constructed shield of nonchalance on ignore status and mental middle fingers, regretted how things went down, peeks in through cracks, looks in the doorway, spots my indifference from across the room, and they come together in an awkward dance, taking turns leading. See, this poem fought its way into existence, and my fear of looking like a complete and utter idiot for making my feelings known was a very formidable opponent, magnified 10 times over by pride. For all I know, perhaps in your mind, we were never that close to begin with, and this is all just a misunderstanding on my part that lasted for years. And maybe I am just looking and sounding crazy, and you could possibly not have a damn to offer, hear this and wonder, why is she even wasting her time? Thinking, I got up in her head and now she wrote a whole poem about me. But if it's a contest along those lines, then fine, you win. But like this poem, I too don warrior gear with the mic as my sword, in the name of staying true to and expressing what I feel, so to hell with it. You were my friends, and I miss you.
Wow. Yeah.